I'm an influencer.
Hi, I'm Breandax, and my special guest today is Kermit the Frog.
I'm not going to keep that voice up. I'm T, not Kermit the Frog.
Oh.
Any copyright holders, please be at
Kermit
rest.
with a C.
Sermit. Anyway, we're supposed to be listening to some music or something. Today, we're going to check out an artist that I've got a bit of a background with, but not really. FKA Twigs. Have you crossed paths with FKA Twigs before?
I am not so familiar with her work. I'm aware that she exists, but I've met her before.
Yeah?
She didn't meet me. It was a music festival and she was on a stage. So
Okay. That's something.
So I'm keen to hear more about what she does.
Yeah. So I listened to her previous or the one before album. I think it was called like the Magdalene or something, Magdalene. And it had some pretty neat tracks on it, but it didn't enter my rotation. I was listening to a bunch of other stuff at the time. But this year, FKA Twigs' latest album, Eusexua, dropped to massive fanfare. And I heard some snippets here and there, and I was like, ooh, this has that quality to it where it's like you get that frisson, you get that immediate reaction physically. So I thought, better late than never, we should have a listen on the show. Well, without further ado, let's roll into track 1, which is the title track of the album, Eusexua. It's like spine tingling a little bit. Wailing, it's very Caroline Polachek in the background.
People always told me that I'm sexual.
We can't ignore the immediate production hit.
So when people come over to my house, they're like, oh, classic millennial, you're a bit of a green thumb, because there's like plants everywhere, right? But I'm actually not that much of a green thumb. I get plants that when they droop, you can water them and then they perk back up. I am the peace lily. I am the dehydrated peace lily, and FKA right now is benevolent, forgetful meta me who's like, I need to water it, and then water it. I'm like, I'm perking back up to life. That's how I felt with Eusexua.
Watered with the bliss panacea that is Eusexua. Very good.
Watering my soul.
Yeah, yeah. It really just, without saying anything, and there are things that are said without even needing to say anything. It just hits you with that like really deep production. Not only that, but when the vocals come in, when the textures come in, they cut through the mix, but not in a way that's sibilant at all, just in a way that's clear, and they complement each other so well throughout the entire track.
I was starting to think that when they wrote this song and the like octaves that they decided to write both the instrumentation and then FKA's vocal line felt very, very intentional. For me, the instrumentation like being so low and it had that pulse energy to it. I could just imagine what it would be like if you were in a venue with their big speakers. Because even on these, I could feel it was really resonating. I wanted to say like my sternum, like this area here, as opposed to, and we've listened to some tracks where when it's deeper and you feel it more down in like your stomach area, this felt very much here, which coincidentally is heart adjacent, heart, lateral. And I'm like, I felt that was very intentional, especially when we start to look at the lyrics. And this, I want to say, Eusexua is not a real word. It's a word that's been made up, but to describe
Yeah.
something that we're exploring in the album.
Seems like a combo of sex and like I want to say euphoria. That's my closest approximation, but it's expressing not quite love, but not so distant from it.
And that's why I felt like that this placement, that the way that I was physically experiencing the music felt so experiential of the lyrics, because I'm like, oh, we are talking about something that's this intimate relationship of some kind, and you literally like it felt intimate
Yeah.
physically, but it also had that physical, sensual kind of energy to, not necessarily sexual explicitly, but definitely like sensual, which is a different level, I think. Why do I feel like slow moving to this when the beat is actually quite fast? And I realized, oh, it's they're going like almost like double time in the beat of the music. And then her vocals is like half time in comparison,
Yeah.
which actually makes you feel like this energy, but it's like you're moving slowly, but it's brimming with energy.
Yeah, you could
Even
move
though
to
that
the
sounds
double time, but it feels kind of awkward and inappropriate. But moving to that slower pace, even with the faster beat, it just gives you like two experiences. It gives you the like sensual, contemplative, exploratory, slow movement while acknowledging the fast movement and acknowledging like a heartbeat almost. Should we see where it carries us through on the next track?
Yes, please.
Girl feels good. Girl, it does.
I fear the man who finds himself alone. Your mother's sister's lover's heart is within.
First time we're hearing a physical instrument.
Feels good, it makes the world go. God feels good, you know. When a girl my sweet delight. A man that doesn't know. When a girl feels good, it makes the world go round. When them keep the devil down. When a girl feels good, you know.
What an earworm.
Yeah. I have a thought that I think is going to resonate with no one. It's so niche and specific, but the earworminess brought me back to that. And that is, I don't know if you had the same experience, like 2000s, primary school me, like elementary school for our viewers in the States, like kids' TV, science show music. It
I
had
was
that
with
kind
you
of-
for most of that. I'm like, yep, yeah, okay, I see it until we got to the science show
like
part.
show about like wildlife or science or something would have this kind of production in particular. Like the drums in particular and some of the electronic like little tinges reminded me viscerally of that. Not in a bad way, but just in an interesting way. But I don't think that's what FKA Twigs is going for.
I think where that's coming from, because I had almost, but not quite, a similar thought. It did bring me to that 2000, that early 2000s, late 90s, like that turn of the millennium era. And I'm just like, I could imagine like you've got like you've got your jeans that fit so good. You've got your boots on. You're rocking a fresh Rachel, like the haircut.
Yeah.
The air is fresh and the night is young, and you're like, let's hit it. You know what I mean?
Destiny's Child are still together.
Yeah. And I think maybe where that's coming from is obviously kid shows would have been inspired by the pop music of the time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
It's just that era more than anything.
Yeah, for sure. But as I started to think about this image that was coming into my mind, I'm like, it's not so much about how I look. I've had nights like that and you just feel so good. And I think that's because like for many of us, you know, when you feel like you look good, like it releases a lot of inhibitions and anxieties and things like that. And you're just really loving life in that moment.
And then lyrically, as we get into it, first thoughts from me were we're talking to, in this case, the dynamic between girl and boy, though it can be just, you know, a yin and yang or however you want to kind of interpret it, and just the symbiotic relationship between the two sides and how like what one is feeling affects the other and so on and so forth.
I actually think this is kind of commenting on the trope, especially when you think about like, say, going out, and there's like a couple, say, like in this storyline. It's normally very male driven. It's like the boy asks the girl out, the boy plans the date, and all of that kind of is very driven by his side. And I think that challenges it in the first verse, where it actually touches on like male fragility and like toxic masculinity vibes. Even it's almost like Beyonce's Girls. It's like when you let the women run it, things happen. And that was kind of what I felt like. It was more, you know, it was female driving this scenario here. It's a focus on her impact on this story rather than trying to comment or critique his contribution. And it was just focusing on what she was bringing, like
exploring how she kind of lifted everything up from her end. But it wasn't, you know, disregarding the fact that the other side also experienced an uplift from her feelings of feeling good. Next one's Perfect Stranger. And I feel like these ones are kind of linking between each other in terms of the image that this album's brought us so far.
I don't know the name of the town you're from. I don't know the food that's your favorite now. You were, that's alright, I say. We're all getting through this our own. Making strangers be perfect.
Oh.
Who left who or who took the blame? I don't know. Don't say I don't wanna know. And that's alright, I say. But we don't know, we'll never hurt us. You're strangers, you're perfect. You're strangers, you're perfect stranger.
got so into the song, I almost collided with the microphone.
As you should with this. I loved that. 3 for 3 so far on the album. Like, wow, what a great track.
We've been getting a lot of like layering, like mindful, intentional layering in the way that the instrumentation and then the vocals so far. But this one has been the most textured, like with like the thickest and fattest in terms of, I think, creating those layers. I just love how that came through both the composition of the instrumentation. We had so much like rhythm, not just from percussive elements, but also from the opposite of percussive instruments, ones that make notes. Thank you. That one, you get it. Yep. But also with the vocals, both pitch, I love that. And then like all like when she would jump the octave and get this like really like tense like energy coming through, and then so many different filters on the vocals as well, creating more of that texture. It felt like deliciously fat.
It did. And it felt tasteful while doing that, which is, it's a fine line to ride in terms of using filters, electronic productions, plugins, whatever, but keeping it cohesive and keeping it structured in a way that doesn't kind of slap you in the face. I love that. I still got some throwback in it, but I got more modern tinges. I got more modern clarity. I got more modern depth in terms of the production style. But it combined both, which we've gotten so far in the album. Eusexua, to me, felt very modern, very forward. Girl Feels Good felt very throwback. This just feels like we're going back and forth between both.
Well, I feel like maybe that's intentional. You know, we've mentioned with other albums that we've listened to, our prediction that music is going to age really well, in that it's not going to age. It's going to feel a bit timeless and still connect in the years to come. And I think maybe where that's coming from, and I feel like this track does it as well, is it's pulling on phenomenon sounds and styles from the past, infusing it with a lot of like contemporary production to that. And so it doesn't really place it in an era per se, but still pulls on a lot of the emotional associations from various parts in the past as well. And I suspect this is where the album thematically is actually going as well. FKA has coined this term Eusexua, right? Which is, we don't really know what the exact definition of that word means, but she's starting to describe it through the lyrics. And here we're getting it's almost like a series of like short scenes. So this one now, it's like that feeling of when you've just met someone, you have this energy chemistry going
Curiosity.
on.
Yep.
You don't know much about them, and you're like, it's about just here and now, and this energy and this chemistry between us that we're like connecting on. That's amazing. And let's just sit with that and enjoy that for this moment.
It's that exciting mystique. It's that clean slate. Possibilities are endless. There is danger, but I don't care because I'm in the moment.
Well, I actually think, for me personally, if I'm projecting my own personal experiences to it, maybe it's kind of like sometimes the more you get to know someone, the less attractive they become. You're like, oh, you're kind of cute, but now I know your personality, and like, you know what I mean?
And it's
So
not just
like,
them. It's like you projecting your kind of interpretation of the things they're telling you onto them as well, right? It's like knowledge is power, but also sometimes if you know a little too much, then it ain't good. I'm looking at the title of the next one, Drums of Death, and I'm like, okay, I feel like that's taken a bit of a thematic break. So I'm curious what
and our first
this does to
featured
us.
artist of the album.
Not a name I'm familiar with. Let's see. This is the part of the set where she brings out the drum machine and then starts programming it, probably.
I sing a girl, drop your skirt to the floor. Tell your clothes what he told. Feel hot, feel hot, feel. Hello, what you like, and you might be character. Cause you work so much. Hello, what you like, and you wanna pick it up. That's a piece you like, 'cause you
Taken a bit of a turn production-wise. Very glitchy.
For me, it was a big release, like energy release. If I'm thinking about like it coming after the other three tracks, the other tracks had a lot of like this like tension and this energy building, especially in Perfect Stranger. I felt like what gave it not being too heavy too much was there was a lot of space in it, even though there was so many layers, but it gradually built and it built and it built. And the first three have also had, while different, there was like the forward and the callback, etc. The energy and the pulsing was kind of in the same quadrant. And then this was just like a release from that because it got gritty and we were like down, and getting like dirty with it. And I think the glitch, because everything has been so pulsy and rhythmic and like sensual, the glitchiness actually, like as a contrast, actually felt really, really great for me.
This is the part of the night where you've been in the pulsing, rhythmic, moving club. You've been experiencing and feeling. And you've gone to the second venue. You've gone to the alt club where not as much bass, but everyone's rowdy and everyone's just losing themselves.
Not even another club. It's just like, it'll be the other floor in the club where they're, you know what I mean?
The lights all
and
different.
And I think what it's doing really well is like, it's just giving an energy switch up. Because if you have too much of the same, even if the content is delicious, it does get too much. And so you need to have these breaks, and it allows us, I think, as an audience to breathe as well before, and like pivot, change tracks. Maybe, I don't know where she'll go from here. like energy wise, and whether we'll come back into that same quadrant as before. But yeah, that was great. And I think the lyrics, like keeping it very minimal, and I loved this kind of like half rap spoken word type thing. The fact that she managed to rhyme hot and hard somehow together, I'm like, whoa. But the lyrics being so punchy and then the content being very raw, I thought matched so well.
Yeah, I love the thematic play on quote unquote life. Like this song is really about, hey, life's going on break, life's going to lunch. You experience what you want to experience and let me know when you're done. With the title Drums of Death, and you know the two sides of the same coin, life and death, being played on in that way, I thought were very clever. Also, I noticed in the writing credits, G Dragon is on there,
Oh,
and I was like, interesting. I would not have guessed that in a million years.
hey girl.
Hello. Okay, well, maybe this new venue we're in could be described as a room of fools. Next track.
Yeah.
Stranger from more fools, just bleeding out the pressure. It feels nice. Tell me gods. It feels
So definitely a change of energy to where the album was before.
I think we're still on the same club floor as the previous song, but the DJ's changed.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. That's a pretty good analogy for someone who doesn't go to club.
This is my theoretical club. meta that's in my head.
hypothetical thought experiment. I find it for me, the energy was different because this is how I just noticed myself. There's music where you're like vibing to it, but it's a downwards physical motion. This one, and then there's ones where like it's an upwards physical motion, and I don't know if it even looks different on the outside when I'm dancing to it, but the feeling of it is different. And this was like it was an upwards bounce, which is the first time I think we've had this sort of energy in the album so far.
Yeah. The way I visualize it is like we had a very fluid down, up a little bit down in the first chunk of the album. Here, we're getting an upwards trajectory, but it's quite spiky in terms of the hits in the beat and in the production. But then right at the end, we kind of burst into, again, more of a free form, but still upward trajectory kind of motion.
What I love and what I'm so amazed when I hear tracks like this is chaotic but artistic. It's not discordant clash, but it's like clash that is non-harmonic.
Yeah.
In the way that we normally, you go towards a chord of some sort, but then you get this pocket of like artistry, and it's not just in music, you get it in different mediums as well, where it's like, how do they even think of these things? It feels random and chaotic and left field, but also works and is cohesive. And it made me think of like the same energy that I get when I listen to, say, like Bjork or Robin. And it's just like, how did they even think of what? Whoa.
It's a fine line because you can very easily, and many artists do, fall down that hole and just end up with incoherent bullshit. Or you can harness it and master it and have discordance, have chaos, but still bring it together in a way that feels resonant and successful to a listener.
Something that my brain really locked onto as well is that the vocals felt very naked, is the way that I want to describe it. Now I'm sure that there was still like production on this. There was a bit of a like an echo, like, but it just literally painted the picture of like FKA in a room, like singing down a mic, like channeling all of this energy down her microphone, and that you were just in the room, like I was in the room with her,
The Room of Fools.
hearing it. Yeah. Oh, does that make us the fool?
We're all the fools. She's
Oh
a
my
fool. We're a
God.
fool. We're all invited
Yeah.
to be fools. Yeah, and like thematically,
Art house. Is that the genre? It was very art house.
it's a pretty broad term, but yeah, I would get art house from this.
Okay. Yeah. I literally feel like I'm still the girl from Girl Feels Good. And I am I'm having these different experiences on this night
Yeah,
where I'm making the world spin around because I'm the girl who feels good.
the girl who feels good in a room of fools. And what happens when people are dancing and grooving for a bit too long and it's a bit warm? Kind of gets a bit sticky, which leads us into the next track, Sticky. It's kind of revisiting that production tinge from the previous track, like the rev. Du-du-du-du-du.
Tired of mess, but it hurts so bad to share my skin with you watching. Come on, come on, come on, say something nice. Pain I have inside, my body wants to be touched and moved. I'm tired of messing up my life with all the
I feel like in this one, both musically and lyrically, where we've sobered up since the past chunk of the album, not just, we're no longer under the influence of substance or euphoria or whatever it is, and like dreaming and wistful and all of that, but we're back to reality. And in the production, while we did have a lot of chop, we had a lot of sample, we had mostly, for most of the track, the vocal being used to enrich the instrumental palette rather than just all digital instruments. We had vocal chops, we had like percussive staccato taken from vocal sample. And that just like puts FKA Twigs as a singer front and center, not only with the melody, but throughout the production. And I think that kind of reinforces a bit of the message we're getting here as well.
If the past tracks was about just loving life, this is then facing life.
Yeah.
The heavy use of like, I don't know if it's a vocoder or auto-tune to create that robotic effect on the voice, for me immediately felt like we were now having this side monologue inside our head. And I think because it's robotic, it just means that we are now in a different reality. We're like suspended from reality because we've now gone into like this mental space, right?
It's like we're watching reality from the third person.
Yeah, it was at the same time, it felt so intimate because, picking that octave and making a very small, very high voice, the staccato-ness, it felt vulnerable. It felt very, exposed as she was working through those lyrics as well. But what I thought was very interesting is that for all of the electronicness in both the instrumentation and then the filters on the vocals, there was a classical piano in there that felt, maybe it was like not a real one, like a digital one, but a very high quality sounding one, but wasn't meant to sound electronic. It was very much sounding like a piano playing these like very nice harmonic, like chords in there. And it just added this element of like organicness to it, because at the end of the day, these lyrics are talking about, we were focusing on self and life and having to navigate through that, which is a very like, you know, that's a human experience. So I liked how that brought this sense of like, yeah, organicness into what was a very electronic otherwise track. And also like the rhythm, like you were saying, was very staccato. It was all over doing all these other things, and then this like almost wholesome piano sort of contrasting against that, I thought was really, really interesting. Most of like the instrumentation was really just this ongoing, like this very deep bass. For me, that again just really created this idea of I'm in some mental, almost like a, if you see like The Good Place and then you go into the void, like Janet's void, it felt like, okay, I'm now in my mental void, like I'm in my brain and there's nothing there because it's just like it's thoughts, right? And feelings and emotions. It's not things. So there's nothing visually manifesting, and you're just in this space to then deal with or confront with like what she was singing about.
And I love that she explores both like a risk and like a vulnerability and like a defensive kind of feeling when in this reality, alongside a yearning to connect in the reality. So there's almost like a driving force, but a vulnerability as you're moving forward, almost like a glass cannon.
The ending, that outro, I feel like is such a good example. I mean, we've been talking about how all the songs really make us experience like the feelings and the themes that are going on in the song. And I feel like this outro is a particularly good example of that, where the vocals were singing halfway cut off. It almost felt like someone had like yanked the power cord out of the music player.
Yep.
And then, you know, like in a different context, if it was singing about something like holding on to life, because a couple of the albums that we've listened to recently was sort of like looking at like mental health and illness and so forth, could have been a signifier of something like being cut or short or killed off, etc. But here it was like, yeah, it was so visceral. I think we both kind of had a very physical reaction to that. And then when it came back in sticky situations, it was still in that robotic space. So it was still in the suspended belief conceptualized area, but so broken, and you could almost feel like the reaching for wanting more.
It's like you yank the power cord from the stereo falls over while you do it. Then you're like, oh no, you plug it back in. It's not the same as before.
No, it's just fizzing out. It's crackling and popping, and
she's broken. Sorry.
The cassette is just like unraveling because it's a boombox.
That's why you gotta keep it and hold it.
Sometimes I wanna turn the other way. I read a million people gotta feel this way. Just keep it moving, hold it, yeah. This big of me, like I'm not in the room. Just keep it walking, hold it. Feel like I'm not even trying.
I think this is the first track for me where it felt like we moved during the track between a couple of different places, feelings, states of mind, rather than broadly staying in the same place during the track.
And I think it was really describing the experience of our protagonist here. It makes a lot of sense, I think, story-wise, coming off the back of Sticky. We know that this burden or this challenge that our character is facing. I don't know who the other voices are representing. Is it like is it another part inside us, as part of the character's mind? Is it external, like, you know, the voice of society expectations or whatever it might be? But it felt very theatrical, actually. Like, it gave me a bit of a not in the sound, but in the composition and the use of this call and response, this Greek chorus, we would call it in musical theater. they're so theatrical to me. I could almost imagine how that scene would play out on a stage. And then when it was the break back to the club music, for me, that really represented like in this lostness, and it gets very overbearing and overwhelming. You need that escapism sometimes. And that's represented here by a return to the club music, where it's like, you don't care, we leave life at the door, like the larger things of life at the door, just enjoy life in the now.
Yeah.
In the club, which is what we've seen in the earlier tracks there.
And then the two kind of came together in like the third section of the song, where we kept the lyricism from the first chunk, but we maintained the beat-driven production, kind of almost to me signifying that there is validity and then there is value in both, and both are two parts of a whole rather than one is real, one is fake. I also just like how through the lack of a beat-driven section at the start, we got to really explore some of FKA Twigs' vocal chops as well.
Those pure dulcet tones, I'm like, damn pipes, I love it. I mean, it's been so clear already. I mean, even though there's been a lot of like production and techniques and filters and all of that used, it's so clear like how strong of a vocalist she is, in and of herself, like putting aside the storytelling that we're getting here in how she's written this album, but like, oh, beautiful.
Yeah, you just know sometimes when you listen to a few pieces from an artist that they're a force to be reckoned with when you get explorations into a few different areas, but they're all like very strong, independent of each other and together. So good on you. You don't need us to tell you, but
No, she doesn't.
not at all. But hey, for what it's worth, the just heard seal of
she definitely
approval.
does not need to hear it from us.
Yep.
Reference verse 1 of Girl Feels Good.
There you go. Childlike Things is the next track, and we've got a feature as well.
Childlike things and tragedy. Dun, 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 dun,
That was something. First of all, the feature is Northwest, and now I'm thinking, wasn't that the name of Kim Kardashian and Kanye West's child?
Oh.
And then I'm like, how long ago was that? Because I that could be either 2 years ago or 15 years ago, and my brain is just like,
No, I think
is that the feature?
this is really digging into the periphery of my pop culture knowledge, because I don't watch Kardashians. She probably did the Japanese sections.
Yeah.
And well, that makes sense, because I'm like, the Japanese part from the little, like my rudimentary Japanese, it was like, hello, I'm North. And I just thought like it was like a wind spirit at first.
Again, I don't expect Northwest, child of Kanye West and Kim, to be Japanese fluent. But I was like, what does she know? That's not I am, that's like my something. Because you would say, what does she know namae, which is my name is.
Yeah.
If you were to say I am, it would be
Watashi wa.
Yeah. Besides the point. Anyway, the fact that we had a child on the song was appropriate for both the title and the feeling it gave me.
Well, I mean, I didn't know that there was going to be a little Japanese breakdown in there.
Yeah.
But even from the structure of the song, I'm like, oh, this is, I think, quite clearly being inspired by Asian-esque pop culture. And I think in a lot of these like subcultures where there is an appreciation as adults for like plush toys and for cute things and you know, the school uniform is a common aesthetic. And I guess that is a really good reference to describe being an adult and coming back to childlike things. I don't know. It wasn't authentic to the reference. Like it was like very much an echo of an inspiration, and maybe that was intentional.
Yeah.
Until the Japanese came in, I'm like, oh, okay, no, this is a very clear signal. I don't know.
I got the mood that it was trying to go for with the instrumental palette, some of
and
the
the
lyricism.
dun bit.
I was a bit confused by the Japanese inclusion. Like,
What was going through my brain? I'm like, oh, this kind of reminds me of like Western culture or Western person coming to Asian context. And it's like, I'm definitely not from here. I'm not trying to be from here or like do your thing. But then there's this like the fusion or the meaning of the two perspectives and the two cultures in the way that Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend, big hit on the charts.
Yeah.
But then popped off in Japan to the
Yeah.
point where they then went to go recut the track in Japanese. And Avril Lavigne suddenly had like this like massive like Japanese following as well. But she's like very white person from America, and having this like this meeting of the two cultures. Like I don't think it was trying to be like a J-pop
No.
song or anything like that.
This felt a little bit like Northwest entered the studio, because I'm sure there's mutual friends everywhere between FKA Twigs, Kanye's
people know
team,
people.
whatever. Northwest entered the studio while the album was being recorded, and then there was like, oh, cute, you wanna jump on a track, and then it's like, oh, you're probably into like, I don't know, Sanrio or something at the time, like, oh, you wanna do a little Japanese in it too, and she's like, wow, yeah, cool, and then it's like, that's how it kind of came together. I'm still a bit confused by this one, just like sonically, but it did serve as a break from some of what we've heard while still being on the theme of escapism. But we're going from Childlike Things to Striptease, which it's a bit of whiplash, but let's see.
I'm borderline, it's getting late. I feel alive. I wanna just respire and just to show the tears of lies is on me. It's like a striptease, soak for my tears and lace for my feet. Watch me flow, lost in my striptease. I've got a birthmark on my mind. I think you like it. Breathe in peace, opening me,
I was immediately thinking, as we were going through the first intro to chorus, like, oh, this is using kind of like more of a regular trap beat now versus some of the stuff we've gotten in the album, and like it's being a bit more traditional. But as we went through, the production did its thing and changed, and we had that very slow, choppy kind of descent to the kick back up. I was like, okay, in the context of all of that, I really like the entire package of where we started and where we got to.
And there's been so many like direct references or allegories surrounding like sex and sexuality and sensuality, using striptease as like a analogy or a metaphor for then like diving deeper into the mind, and like it's all like working through all the different mental layers is like, you know, doing a physical striptease and peeling back the clothes. I thought was really, really great, like to be on theme, but then it had this sense of like, not panic, but like definitely like a heightened manic type of energy. And I think it's like, you know, it's like, okay, we're not going to do escapism anymore. We are going to try and start to peel back the layers, and that's going to be very alarming at first. And so we had the quick time, the trap rhythm, but then the vocals, unlike I think it was the title track, the vocals were also in the same rhythm, which then was like creating this like tension, anxious, chaotic, heart pounding kind of energy. But once we did get past a number of layers, and then we'll get into the heart of things, and the staccato glitchy eyes cut in, I'm like, now this is showing like what is underneath, and actually it's kind of now falling apart once we've got into the heart of it.
I think it's also interesting that while we are peeling back the layers, dropping the facade, whatever you want to, like getting deeper, we're still, through the act of calling it a striptease and using some of the language we're using in this track, we're still doing it in a theatrical, in kind of a playful, performative way. Not to say that it feels performative, but it just shows me that the character has like a background in terms of losing yourself, you know, whether it's through music, through sexuality, that you can't really completely divorce yourself from. Like even when you are getting down to the brass tacks, to the deeper layers, that's still there. And the fact that it's kind of wrapped up in that imagery, I think is very appropriate. We're at track 10, 24-hour dog.
I don't know if it's because I haven't had breakfast and it's coming up to lunchtime, but 24-hour dog, when I first read it, I'm just like, oh, that's a type of hot dog. It's like...
It's the one you get from 7-Eleven that's always there.
Maybe.
And never ages.
I don't think that's actually what... I suspect that's not what Ms. Twigs is going to sing about, but...
I'm excited.
Want to, what you want me to? Please don't call my name when I submit. Shapes to make you please, it eases up my mind and helps me leave my power. But I'm a dog for you. Please don't call my name.
As the track went on, I was like, this is actually really thematically appropriate in ways beyond the like first layer of like the dog like slave kind of analogy, the like kink kind of framing. I was like, okay, there's something here using that feels really appropriate, and it really plays into the story that we've told through the album. And what I got from this was FKA Twigs opening herself up to experience love through Eusexua, the title track, and then through some of the feelings explored in the rest of the album. We were sidestepping love, and we were like, no, we're in this Eusexua, we're in this not quite love, not attachment either, but like playfulness and exerting of energy and like being in the moment and all of that. It's not love, it's Eusexua. And then we come to 24-hour dog, and I'm like, what I'm hearing is FKA Twigs being like, no, this is a love scenario.
This is what I think I enjoy doing this so much with you, is because I love to see how sometimes we process the song and think about it in very similar ways.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we go polar opposites.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is one of those songs where we've gone polar opposite.
Okay.
Verse 1, by the halfway through verse 1, I'm like, I have an inkling of what I think this song actually is about. And then by the end of verse 1, I'm like, I'm very confident she's actually singing to herself.
Yeah.
Hear me out. So we have the return of the small, high, vulnerable voice that we had in Sticky.
Yeah.
With the heavy vocoder robotic layer filter on that. And if we are thinking that it's the same kind of voice coming through, we're then back into this mental space, right? Now in Sticky, it was like this part of her mind that was feeling lost and maybe and searching for, is it peace? Is it stability? Is it reason? Is it something else, like to address this whole cycle of like escapism and not facing like life and reality and things like that. So if we assume that it is the return of this voice, then I think it's that part of her that has been searching or desiring to find peaceful resolution, saying, I give in to you, where you is the rest of her. I think she's singing to the other part of herself that does, all those passings that we saw in the other tracks.
Even if you divorce, like, let's say you keep the two analogies or the two perspectives divorced, of like a song about love versus a song about internal tug of war, submission, etc. I think there's still a joint overall theme of like combining, of whether it's internal sides winning, whether it's allowing yourself to combine with an emotion that you've been pushing back. I think that theme still carries through both. And I think for me, I don't feel so strongly about the exact context of like the A to B to C where we are, but I feel strongly that theme is what we're exploring here.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It does feel like it's going towards a resolution. You know, we've been having a lot of like conflict and tension in the past songs, and this feels like it's coming to that is now resolving one way or another.
Yeah.
In my mind, if I'm just sticking with like she's singing to herself and now it's this part of her succumbing, I'm expecting that the final song is then going to be some kind of then confirmation of that resolution of this part of her succumbing. And it might be from the perspective of the main voice that we've actually heard, or the voice that we heard at the beginning of the album as well.
Well, there's only one way to find out. And that is...
Hit the play button.
I hate the cause, the aesthetic's crazy. Albums in bed, no makeup on my face, filter covered up my low. I'll make it up to you, baby. See, when the sky is not enough, give me pure wanderlust. Misplaced emotion. Monday morning, I'll make it up to you, babe. Just hold tight. It's alright to be the light in my head if you need me right there.
Someone who knows people who have production. 2026, Eusexua, a new musical by FKA Twigs. Honestly,
You just strip it down and you have like a really strong...
we'll workshop
operatic
it when we're off Broadway. We'll do
Yeah.
it. We'll figure it out in the workshop.
Yeah, post our own just heard on Broadway. Yeah. Wow.
I think the vocal was the first thing that hit me. It felt so different to the majority of the vocals that we've had, the variety of vocals that we've had on this album. It was still had these beautiful soaring arcs and really leveraging her high range, but it was like in this full rich chest voice. And it made me think of like at the beginning, I'm like, it always gave me singer-songwriter vibes at the very start. It's like Barstool, just a girl with her guitar on some dinky bar stage, this is my song Wanderlust. You know what I mean? Obviously, it then like developed into something very different to that. But when it opened, that was the image that came to mind, and having this very like storytelling, down to earth like perspective to it.
It did also have this very heavy auto tune, like which kind of was in there in conjunction with the like very legato, like singing melody. That reminded me of, and please don't crucify me, audience, for making this comparison. It reminded me of when you're listening to a Charlie XCX album and she has the song in there, there's usually one or two, where it gets a bit ballady, but she's still got the auto-tune turned all the way up, where she's like, she's going ballady with it, but it's still Charlie XCX heavy auto-tune. Probably the British accent is adding to the comparison for me.
Okay.
And that's not in a bad way at all, because I love Charlie XCX and I think she has some great ballads. But that's
because it's part of the sound, it's part of her pop sound.
Yeah, that's the ballady characteristic that I got in conjunction, especially with the auto tune. But yeah, I will say, obviously, FKA Twigs is very different to Charlie XCX, especially when it comes to lyricism as well.
Well, I have not listened to Charlie X. Maybe that's a future listen, because I'm not very familiar with Charlie XCX.
Let us know, please.
You know, I'm like, what's the one where she collabs with Billy? I know that one.
That's on the like
that was played
remixes version
everywhere.
of
I'm
Rat.
on the glad banner on my under. Anyway, for me, the vocoder parts I also paid attention to, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting that it's been brought back. I noticed that it was whenever the lyrics was touching again on into those mental layers. So I think the lyrics was something like mistakes in motion, misplaced emotions, right? And that was peak vocoder. And I'm like, right, this is making me think again of that voice that we heard in Striptease and Keep It Hold It. And it's almost like the only way to maybe confront or deal with the deeper parts once you push back those layers is when you have to like suspend yourself from reality a little bit and have to do it through this wall.
And with that, we have just heard Eusexua, the Yin and Yang album, the two sides of the same coin, the vocoder, and the natural voice.
Yeah. The voice actually reminded me a lot of, I think, what you're saying there about the freedom.
Yeah.
I just saw here that I had written down. It's the only other time we've heard a voice similar to this is in Girl Feels Good.
Yep.
Which was the freedom song of the album. So we've come back to that, but with more knowledge and understanding about ourselves. Gone on a full journey.
And more knowledge and understanding about our dear FKA Twigs. I thought that was a fantastic album, just all around. Like, it gave me so much. Such fullness in the production, such expression without going off the rails, and lyrical and thematic journey, resolution, contemplation, all of that, all the buzzwords and descriptors you can think of. I'd have to think about it more. I did get a bit of a road bump in the feature.
Childlike.
Yeah, from our friend Northwest, but maybe in the context of the thematic wholeness of the album, over time it will integrate better for me. But other than that, just like such a full, complete journey. And I already knew that FKA Twigs was a very well-regarded artist, but now having experienced her firsthand fully, I'm like, oh yeah, she's on the watch list.
Yeah.
FKA Twigs, if we have a situation in which we are forced to make a choice between yourself and someone else, we will think more strongly in your favor, but no guarantees.
And we will also just campaign also for a sideshow, and then also buy tickets to your sideshow.
And also get an interview directly.
Yeah, like what we did with Moon.
Yeah.
We'll see them at the festival, and it's like, oh, surprise sideshow, also go to the sideshow.
Yeah, exactly.
That was great.
Exactly. Oh, I need more Muna in my life.
Okay.
Tangent.
That's a different episode.
Tangent. Thank you for coming along.
It's
FKA
nice to
Twigs
be back.
fans. It is nice to be back.
We
It's
had
been
a
a
couple
little
of
while.
scheduling conflicts from both of our sides over the last couple of weeks, and
I've been globe-trotting, country trotting. I think so have you a little bit.
Oh, Well, that's
But we
nice.
are back. Let us know what you want to hear. FKA Twigs fans, Just Heard fans, both in unison. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.